So we have Jabril. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Jabril Hakeem Kumar.
Come on. And can you tell us what we're doing in the vehicle right now?
Yes, we're just sitting down. We just came back from watching I Am Your Negro. And no, I'm trying to be funny. I am not your Negro.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, okay.
No, I thought you were... I was hoping that you called me. No.
I was going to say, we're going to cut it over. That was a good one, okay?
No, we need something to laugh about. No, I am not your Negro, obviously. And we are just sitting inside of the car having positive dialogue about what we thought about the film.
What did you think about the film?
I thought that it was exceptional. I thought that it was very important and imperative for us to have an opportunity to be able to look through the lens of James Baldwin as he pretty much covered his experience and his relationship, with Malcolm, Martin, and Medgar. It's very important that we know exactly what's going on, because oftentimes we are just, our cup is filled with the dogma of the U.S. and we are not properly and appropriately taught about, what actually is important. So I thought that was very cool about the film. It gave you in-depth detail about what happened, in the 60s. And, so.
When you think about our show coming up next Saturday, The Revolution is Love, how do you think that our show relates to I Am Not Your Negro?
I think the show relates to I Am Not Your Negro because we are not anyone's Negro. You think about the things that we're going to be talking about, capitalism, being a revolutionary. What is revolution and what will it include? Talking about things like racism and xenophobia and homophobia and all of those things that are just the monster of this country that are swept under the rug all the time. I think that it has every single thing that you could ever even imagine to do with the show. So I Am Not Your Negro is the revolution, and the revolution is I Am Not Your Negro. So I think whatever you vision, whatever you think, it's all intertwined, it's all infused.
So last question here for you. I always, and I think people are like, he, and I'm like, no, for real though. Right. A lot of times I find myself saying, this is Malcolm approved, and I think people are thinking, well, he's gone. But studying Malcolm, like I have studied Malcolm and knowing the things that he believed in, his morals and values, I'm like, okay, the things that I'm saying in my poem or the things that I'm saying in this song or, whatever I'm performing, these are a lot of the things that he said. So, be it Malcolm, Martin, Medgar, or James Baldwin, since the movie was specifically focused on him in his studies. Do you think that James Baldwin would appreciate the things that we've been doing, what we're doing next Saturday with The Revolution is Love, what we did with The Ballad of the Bullet, and why?
I think that any black person that was alive in that time period, be it Malcolm, be it Medgar, be it Martin, be it James, would appreciate any black young boy or girl doing anything that is as exceptional and as extraordinary as this. We're capturing all of the struggles and trying to bring them to an audience in a theatrical way. So I think that they would definitely approve and appreciate young people, right, doing these types of things. They would appreciate it because they want their hard work and their legacy to live on. So, absolutely.
One word that you would take away from the movie. Just one.
Truth. Yep.
Wow.
Juan.
Hello.
Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Juan Carlos Sealy Chavez.
When you think about the word truth that Jabril just said, what does that bring up for you in relations to I Am Not Your Negro, in relations to what oppressed people are suffering from in this country right now?
Truth is visible. We constantly have to verbally express our truth, unfortunately, and constantly have to verbally explain our feeling. And I think that that's something about the I Am Not Your Negro film constantly perpetuated was that the truth is in what we see every day. We don't need to make anything up. We don't need to add a little extra spice to it to make it jazz it up. It's no need for that, really, honestly, because an everyday truth that is constantly what's happening to Black people. It's just there, and it's unfortunate.
I know after the movie, so so this was my second time seeing it. I saw it yesterday, and people were trying to talk to me afterwards yesterday, and I felt similar to how I felt with Selma. I think I was even more in a state with Selma because Selma was just and Dear White People and 12 Years a Slave, just a few movies where it's like, don't make a joke afterwards, white people. Don't try to pat me on my shoulder. Don't try to. During Selma, this white lady came up to me, weren't you with me and Anika at the movie theater? And she did like a little handshake, like, no, how you doing? Like, this is not the time. And it made me think about after I saw you after the movie, you were just, it seemed like you were downloading and processing. Like, what were you thinking about?
Gosh, so much, honestly. Like, sometimes I feel like I get a little too wrapped up in my feelings about how I feel about my people being oppressed, to be really honest, and it just really, like, breaks me down. But as much as it breaks me down, it empowers me, and I was feeling a little pull from empowerment and just break you down and just into pieces. I definitely felt that way. I did see some people, like, hug it out and so forth. I definitely was like, don't even try to hug me right now, because I don't even want to talk to my neighbor. I don't want to talk, you know what I mean? Because it's so much more than what the image, it's just so much more, honestly. That's just, unfortunately, it's the reality. Yeah. And that reality is sometimes hard to deal with.
What would you say was your favorite part of the movie, where you were, our section and just like the other people in the theater, there's a lot of woos and come on and yes and
yeah, there was.
And I love that part because it's like, yep, this is emphasis. It's almost like when somebody says something and the African drum goes boom, and somebody says something and the African drum goes boom, boom. It's like a yes, we agree, ditto, touche,
Yeah.
So with all those woos and those come ons, what would you say was the part that gave you the most life? Like, what part of the movie? The whole movie was great, but which part would you say you were like, okay, I almost want to stand up and start clapping,
That I wouldn't even say stand up and start clapping them. I would say for the part that somewhat moved me the most, honestly, was the Black woman going into the classroom of quote unquote full white children, saying that she's like, excuse me, ma'am, I'm here to pick up my daughter. So she speaks to the teacher. And then the teacher respectfully speaks back to her and says, oh, sorry, ma'am, we don't have any colored children in this classroom. And she's like, okay. She's like, are you sure this is a specific classroom she's in? She had the name of the classroom. It was like EA or something like that. And she's like, okay. And then she looks at the class and she points to her daughter and she says, oh, that's my little girl right there. And then the teacher says, instantly you can tell the tone of the teacher changes. She says, she speaks to the girl by first name and says like, oh, you can get out of here. You can go. And the little girl gets out and she's very upset. Yeah. She feels as though people like found something out about her. And of course, everybody else reacted. The little children, we're talking little innocent kids, are reacting like, oh, she's a Negro. She is this, she's that. Like, it's essentially ostracizing her already off bat, Not because of her skin color was predominantly melanated. It's because of knowing that she has African history. I think that shows a lot about what we do now in America. And depending on how you appear to be is how we will judge you, regardless of what you actually are and who we all are, because who ain't African? But
come on.
Yeah, I think that spoke a lot to me.
Thank you, Juan.
Thank you.
Do you remember that scene, India?
Yes. Oh, I'm India, by the way. India here.
That was Imitation of Life, which I actually just found out. Shout out to DP a few weeks ago. What did you think about, Mahalia Jackson played that character. I believe that was her name. What did you think about when you seen that scene? Because everybody in the theater was just kind of like, like shaking my head. One of those emojis where you're like, okay,
Yeah, when the kids right away, when like he said, when the tone of the whole classroom changed around and she was white, and they were like, oh wow, I didn't know she was a Negro. Clearly seeing that, but just the words, just the fact that someone who was black came in and was like, oh, that's her right there, then it was over right then and there, and they were just enamored by the fact, oh, they didn't even know, but since we've come this far, since she's this close, since she must be in the same household as that lady who is black, so yeah, that scene was pretty insane.
Very intense. Can you tell us specifically with your work, your poetry, your spoken word, your work in the Ballad of the Bullet, how you think that the things that were happening during that time of James Baldwin, how they directly correlate with the things that are happening now?
So, like in the movie, he was saying, I can't remember for sure, but he was like, there is no past, or the past is the present. It's all here with us today, and I'm still learning. I'm still really young, so I have a lot of research to do, and every day in life, and just learning from my older peers and stuff, and them showing me too, like, this is what we're living with today, with the stuff that we make you read in the books. This is why we're writing about this. This is why we're having a play about, Malcolm, the Battle of the Bullet, and this is why our flyer has, the flag wrapped around the hands, because this is how we're living today, just like how it was, back 400 years ago and now in the making. So I think a lot of what we do today is directly related. Like, we just pull it from then and we put it in here to the now.
Okay. Last question. I really liked in the movie where he said, people, and I don't know if he said white people. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but he said, he either said white people or he said people. You say, well, why are you bitter? And James said, well, I might be bitter. I might not be bitter, but if I am bitter, I have a sure good reason to be bitter, right? And that makes me think about just us being angry, and they're like, oh, angry black people, or a bitter black woman, right? Diary of a Mad Black Woman. When we think about our anger in this country, and then even some people just saying, well, we are carrying the trauma from our ancestors that we have never even met before, right? Things that we have never been able to endure. What do you think about what if someone asked you, specifically someone that maybe has not been oppressed like you've been oppressed, whether that be a white person or a middle class person or a rich person, someone that hasn't dealt with the oppression that you've dealt with. If someone asked you, well, India, why are you upset, or why does that past matter when now black people in 2017, hey, we just had a black president, are in a better position? What would you say to them?
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of had that similar conversation with one of my friends who's white, and I was just saying, like, wow, it's just really hard for me to, when I walk into my classroom, I see all white students. I don't just walk in and sit down. I'm like, wow, like, this is kind of how it was way back in the day. This is how I feel. And she was like, well, it's not the same anymore. And I was like, well, it kind of is. And I was like, your ancestors, they oppressed my ancestors. She's like, well, I'm not them. And I'm like, well, I wasn't whipped on my back, either, but I'm down from them, and they, that's a part of me. And I'm like, and that's a part of you, whether you like it or not. And sorry, not sorry, I kind of do hold that against you. So even though we're here now, yeah, yep, I'm mad. I'm angry. Yep. I'm mixed, probably because one of your old grandparents raped one of my old grandmas.
Come on.
Yep, I'm mad because of that. Sometimes I do cover up my little freckles in the morning because, stuff is just So yeah, it's all the same. I mean, we're mad because we have reason to be mad.
Whew. And that's coming from the mouth of a babe, okay? Our young people are stronger than they've ever been, I think. And the age of technology just gives us another outlet to read, to research. And that's even more of a shame if you're not reading the research, because it's so much more accessible Nat Turner, Harriet Tubman, they had 10% of the resources we had today. Be going ham if they heard about the way Zimmerman did Trey. Jabril, can you just tell us, can you tell us where people can find out information about the Ballad or the Bullet, information, what's going to be? Come on, let me know. The revolution is love.
Yes, you guys can go to the Avenue Eatery in North Minneapolis. That's one spot where the flyer is taped up on the window. You can go to my Facebook page.
Come on.
Jabril Hakeem Kuma. You guys can go to Tanya Seasway's page.
Yeah.
Everyone has flyers throughout the city. We put them literally on every corner.
Passing them out at the lagoon.
If you don't see them at the lagoon, if you don't see them on 26 and DuPont,
come on.
How much is it to get in?
You'll see them on our pages. It's $25.
And when is it again?
In advance, or it's $35 at the door.
At the door.
It's gonna be Saturday, Saturday, February 11th.
And you can come and see Jabril live in The Revolution is Love.
Yes.
Myself, Johanna, Siobhan, Queen J, Solo Star, Jamie Wynn. It is going to be excellent. Black excellence at its best.
Yes.
Because the revolution is love.
Yes.
And we hope to see you there. And fade to black.